The Little Mermaid. Once upon a time, long ago, there was a vast sea with a marvelous palace made of shells, coral, and precious stones. A king lived there with his 6 beautiful mermaid daughters. The youngest one was called Little Mermaid. In addition to being beautiful, she also had a melodious voice. When she sang, the fish swam towards her to hear her, and the shells opened up to reveal their pearls. However, the Little Mermaid had a great desire. She would always say, "Oh, how I wish I could go up there and see the sky and hear the voices of men and smell the flowers." But her mother would add,
"You are too young for now. When you are 15 years old, your father will give you permission to rise up to the top of the sea, just like he did with your sisters."
But the Little Mermaid kept dreaming. She learned about the world through the stories of her sisters. But finally, one day, her 15th birthday arrived. Her father called her and said,
"Here, my daughter, now you can rise up and breathe the air. You will see the sky. But remember, that world is not ours. We are children of the sea. Be careful not to get too close to them, for they could bring you much pain."
As soon as he finished speaking, she kissed him and swiftly darted upwards. And sliding lightly through the water, she emerged. It was the first time she saw the blue sky. The sun had set on the horizon, leaving a golden reflection on the waves. For her, everything was extraordinary. But her amazement grew when she saw a ship approaching. The ship stopped, dropped anchor, and prepared to spend the night in the bay. The Little Mermaid watched the scene and said, "Oh, how I wish I could be like them." And then she looked at her long tail, feeling disheartened. She could also hear the sailors shouting,
Long live our captain, who turns 20 today."
The Little Mermaid approached the ship and saw a boy. He was tall, dark-haired, and looked like a king. She couldn't take her eyes off him. Then a violent storm broke out, and the boy fell into the sea. The ship was shattered into 1,000 pieces, but luckily, the boy was saved by the Little Mermaid. She held him close for hours and hours until the storm subsided. The Little Mermaid happily realized she was near land, and with the help of the waves, managed to place the young man on the shore. She then said, "Poor dear, you're freezing. Don't worry, I'll warm you with my body. You will be safe." But suddenly, she heard voices approaching, and frightened, she returned to the water to avoid being seen. A voice shouted, "Hurry, hurry, there's an unconscious man. He may be dying." "Let's take him to the castle," a lady added. As soon as he opened his eyes, the young man said, "Thank you, your face is beautiful." And the lady replied, "You are kind, sir, but now rest." And he was taken to the castle. The Little Mermaid watched as the man she had saved was taken away, and she felt the pain of leaving that beach and the young man she had held in her arms, and who then disappeared. So sadly, she dived back into the deep sea. At her father's house, she cried for days until she made a decision. With this tale, I have no hope of marrying a man. Now only the sea witch can help me. I must go to her, even though it may be very dangerous for me. When the witch saw her, she asked,
"So you no longer want your fish tail? Perhaps you want legs, like a woman." It will be as if your body were being cut in half by a sword. When you place your feet on the ground, you will feel terrible pain.
But the little mermaid said, "I don't care as long as I can return to him." And the witch added,
"I'm not finished. You'll have to give me your voice, and you will remain mute forever. And if the man you love marries another, you will never be able to go back. You will no longer be a mermaid, and your body will dissolve in the water like the foam of a wave."
And she replied, "I accept." She took the magic potion from the witch, and as she drank it, she felt unbearable pain that made her lose consciousness. When she awoke, she saw the beloved face of a young man smiling at her. The witch had performed the miracle. In fact, he had been mysteriously drawn to the beach, where he found the little mermaid. And he gently said to her, "You are safe. Where do you come from?" But the girl, now mute, could not answer. So the young man took her to the castle to take care of her. But the young man only had in his heart the face of the lady who had helped him on the beach after the shipwreck. He was convinced that she was the one who had saved him from the fury of the sea.